And we are live. Yep, we're live. Here we are at Lunch Therapy. I see that Zoe Nicholson is already here, and I'm so happy to see her. And she said she was planking in mad preparation. I was doing a little planking earlier, just a little, what I like to call it, face dancing, of course, because that's the old school way we call it, face dancing. I have washed my hands, so don't worry. We're completely live here in Los Angeles, and what better place to be doing a show where there is one guy talking with a microphone, doing improv stand-up than the narcissism capital of the world, Los Angeles. We're broadcasting from near Koreatown in my backyard. My name is Joel Marshall, and hopefully we're going to get some more people in the chat room, but right now we have Zoe, which is fantastic, and I'm so happy that she's here. I wanted to say that in these times we need a little levity, right? We need a little fun. So this is a break from all the COVID virus news, all the weird live press conferences with the president attacking reporters, telling them that they're terrible reporters and things like that. We're not going to talk about that today because there's plenty of news outlets for that, right? I see Neil Phillip is on here. Yo, yo, yo. I think there's probably about a 6-second delay from what you guys see and where I am. So when you chat, maybe there's going to be a little bit of a delay. Hopefully we're going to be better today as far as our streaming capabilities, because I think I might have gotten somewhere with Spectrum. You guys know from yesterday, those of you that were here, Spectrum was kind of keeping me down. The man was keeping me down. And I want to see this because there's some chatting going on. I want to check it out. Better than the 3-month delay between now and, oh my gosh. See, we can't talk like that. That's Kamala, my wife. So glad to have her here. She's a celebrity. It's good to have a celebrity guest like that. So yesterday I was having these horrible times with Spectrum, and they were trying to tell me it was my equipment, and I wouldn't let the guy in the house. I wouldn't let him in the house, because that's just not responsible to let the guy in the house. Nothing against him, but I was like, I can't have you in the house. Is there something you can do to fix it on the outside? Because my upload speed was like 0.0001, and I'm trying to do a streaming show, and it's just not happening. So they went through the whole rigmarole of having me reboot my router and unplug the coaxial cables and do all this stuff. And I'm like, I got all surly with them. I'm like, hey, I'm a Network Plus certified technician, and I am the father of modern planking. And they were totally unimpressed. So what I did was I started to gather evidence. You got to gather evidence against these people. You feel, and no, I didn't lose it with them. Last night, I had a revelation. I got myself on Twitter because I'm so internet savvy now from doing this show for a week. I was like, I am going to combat them with the tools that we have at our disposal. So I got on Twitter and I found Spectrum and I started talking to the guy, and he started telling me, click this link and coaxial cables and do this and reboot your router and all this stuff. And I was like, I don't think it's my equipment. I think it's because everybody's at home working on the internet, watching Netflix, all this stuff in the middle of the day that wasn't happening before. And there's a lot of network congestion. And I don't think it's my equipment. But then I got really smart. I know that's kind of a surprise to a lot of you. I got super smart, and I looked at my Eero app, and I found that they had been taking snapshots of my upload and download speed for the last, I don't know, couple of months. So I could go back every week and say, this is the upload, and it was just, it was just clear as day. And today, magically, I'm up and running. So now let me explain this show here. We normally have a show called Laugh Therapy. Cynthia Levin, great comedian, is also a producer on this, and Harlan Gleason, who's my dear friend as well. We do the show at his restaurant, which is called Trencher, LA. We do this in Echo Park, and it's Laugh Therapy. And for those of you who don't know, that is Sigmund Freud. He's not in the show because he's dead. And that is Carl Jung. And I put the arrow through the head like Steve Martin, and I put the funny red nose on him, and it becomes Laugh Therapy. But you know what? Not happening. No Laugh Therapy for anybody this month. It was going to happen this Friday. But instead, we have lunch therapy. Lunch therapy happening every day at noon, live streaming. And here we are. So enough of the announcements. Tracy Newman, another celebrity guest in the chat room. Are you watching the biggest wedding ring? Oh, this is it. Biggest wedding ring ever seen. Hi, Tracy. It's great to see you. Yeah, this is my wedding ring. My wife and I designed our wedding rings, and my dad made them. My dad is a metalsmith. He lives up in Seattle, Washington. They used to call him Popeye because his forearms were so big he like bangs on metal and makes these incredible sculptures. You can go to johnmarshallmetalsmith.com if you want to see his work. And it's really interesting having a dad who's an artist. People are like, wow, you must be great having a dad who's an artist. And it was, and it is to this day. But it's also a little weird because, he's very creative. My dad's very creative, and the other kids, they would get a slip and slide, and their dad would just go out to the local, I don't know, Toys R Us and buy a slip and slide. But my dad would look at it as an opportunity to reinvent the slip and slide. So he was like, hold on here. We don't want to just have one narrow slip and slide. Hopefully you guys know what the slip and slide is. It's the narrow pathway, yellow pathway where you can jump on and water goes down it and you slide down the hill or wherever you put it. Wherever you put it, you can slide. You can put it on a flat surface, usually on the grass, because when you jump on that thing, it better be pretty soft. But my dad, the metalsmith, would go out to the hardware store and get a big roll of what he called Viz Queen. I don't know if that's a brand name. Has anybody ever heard of Viz Queen? Viz Queen is it's a big plastic tarp, essentially. A big plastic tarp that people use, I don't know, for painting and for, drop cloths or to cover some wood during the winter so it doesn't get wet. So my dad would take that, put it all over the backyard. Put all of it. Now he's like, now you got a massive slip and slide. And so we'd pour water on it, and it just didn't, I don't know, the water didn't just move the way the traditional slip and slide did. It would just kind of puddle. But, we put on our swimsuits, and we'd run at that thing, because that was our slip and slide. We'd run at the thing, and we'd dive, and you just kind of stop. You run like you were going to slide, and then you just stop. Viz Queen is a brand name from the 90s. Love them. I think, it's a band name. Yeah. Viz Queen. They were like, I think I think it was a knockoff of Queen's Reich, actually. Viz Queen. So that was my dad. My dad was very innovative. I'll talk about him more on this show because he is he's just a fantastic person and very interesting. One other story. I A lot of you have been asking me about this poster. That's from the Planet of the Apes. I don't know if there are any Planet of the Apes lovers out there. The thing that I'm a big Roddy McDowell Planet of the Apes fan. This was actually given to me by Scott Scalise, one of my favorite people. He's an editor and just a wonderful cat lover like myself. He got this from he works at Fox, got this from the director of this thing, and it's signed. It says, "Hey, Joel, apes." And it's signed by the director, who's now, I guess, directing the new Batman. Anyway, so when I was a kid, I always wanted to be an ape. I wanted to be an ape. And every Christmas, I would ask Santa Claus. They sit you down on Santa Claus's knee, and you think Santa Claus can just do anything and get anything and make it as factory and all that stuff. So you ask for anything. The sky's the limit. You don't think like, oh, my parents are going to have to go out and try and find this thing. You just invent stuff because they make it in their workshop. The little elves, they just make it. Just in there making it away. I mean, that's what they told us. That's the lie. There might be some kids out there. I hear that actually we're having some teenagers on our show, watching the show today. So I'm going to try and keep it clean because I want this to be a clean show. I want a show everybody can watch, but fun. Funny would be good too. Funny would be good. So back to the idea of the Planet of the Apes, I'd ask Santa Claus, hey, can I would like a Planet of the Apes makeup kit. Right? That way, every day I could make my face into, an ape. And my friends would be just so jealous if I came to school looking like Cornelius in the outfit and everything with the face. And the mouth, it was just kind of, I don't know if you guys remember. I'm sure you remember this. The foam. I guess it was foam. And the, kind of way they talked. When I was a kid, I could never be an ape because Santa Claus never gave me that. And my mom, I found out later, was just looking everywhere for that darn thing. But she couldn't, and she would kind of ask me every once in a while, hey, Joel, about the Planet of the Apes makeup kit? And I was like, well, yeah, Santa Claus is going to be bringing that. So you don't have to worry about that, Mom. There were two impossible things that I always asked for at Christmas. And one was Planet of the Apes makeup kit. And the other was a horse. I had some friends that had horses. But that just wasn't going to happen for us. Horse. It's just a lot to ask. It's a lot to ask when your family lives on like a half an acre. Gina, I see Gina in the chat room. Big shout out to Gina Viola there. I see that you subscribed to my channel, which I love that. So I couldn't be Cornelius because I didn't have the makeup kit. Some of you did. Maybe you guys could start listing things that you wanted for Christmas or whatever holiday you had. That you asked for that were impossible, that you never got. And maybe you can make, an Amazon list. Stretch Armstrong. Yeah, there's one. Thanks, Neil. I appreciate that. Let's hear some more. I also wanted the Stretch Armstrong. The thing is, my friend had a Stretch Armstrong and he cut one of the arms so he could see what was inside of it. It was like a weird kind of gel in there and he just ruined it. Kamala wanted a bunny. Oh, Kamala, if I would have known you then, I had a bunny. I had a bunny most of the time. Did you ever hear about the urban legend about the bunny? The urban legend is the neighbor had a bunny, and the little girl comes home, and the bunny, they put the bunny in the hutch, and you see everybody's all happy over there about the rabbit. And the guy sees his neighbors bring home the bunny, put it in the hutch. A couple weeks later, he finds the bunny in his dog's mouth. Dead bunny. I know this is kind of dark, but anyway, it's got a good payoff. And he's like, "Oh my God, what am I going to do?" And so, being the weird person he is, he got the dead bunny from the dog, and cleaned it up, cleaned off, and cleaned the fur, and dried the fur, and washed it, and put it back in the hutch, because he didn't want them to kill his dog, basically. Yeah, Kellen's not liking this story, I'm sure. She doesn't kill bunnies. So he didn't kill a bunny. But anyway, he put the thing back in the hutch so that they'd come out and just see that it died. So a few hours later, he hears screaming from the neighbor's yard. The kid is screaming, "My bunny, my bunny, my bunny!" And he's like trying to be all casual and come over and like, "Oh, what's the matter?" And they're like, "Did the bunny die?" And he's trying to be he's not lying. Have you ever noticed that when people like bad actors, when they're lying, they don't move their mouth because they're trying not to give it away? My friend Gordy's like that. When he lies, which he never lies, but when he does, he's like, "No, I didn't eat that last cookie." So anyway, the guy comes over and he's like, "What's up with the bunny?" And did he die? And they're like, "Yes, he died, but that's not the horrible thing. He died. We buried him. And now he's back in the hutch." Yeah. Let's see the chat room. Is this a Glenn Close story? It is sort of a Glenn Close story. They should remake that, right? They should remake that. Fatal Attraction. I love that movie, except for the bunny part. I don't like killing bunnies, and I'm not an advocate of killing animals at all. But I am an advocate of being some kind of character. Tomorrow I'm going to do something. I'm doing a thing on Instagram with a friend of mine. It's like a soap opera thing. Her name's Tanya Vega. And if you happen to subscribe to her, I don't know what you do on Instagram, but we do this thing, 12:30. And I'm going to be a bat. I'm going to be a bat. It's an improv thing where we're doing, an improv every day, I guess. Today we can't do it because she's sleeping or something. I don't know. It's a very casual world we're living in here. Very casual. In the chat room, are there any other things that you wanted for holidays or that you never got? I would like to see some more, if possible. Get this. I am already a little bit batty. This is my costume. I'm going to put it on while you guys are coming up with more things that you wanted. I'm thinking I'm going to wear this. I'm going to wear this to be the bat. And then like a coat, like a long coat. What do you think? I'm going to do this. And that will be like, I'm a bat. And then maybe I will have an accent like I'm from Transylvania or something. Is that just too on the nose? Maybe I shouldn't have I don't know. It's pretty good, right? Do you think the accent is too much? Sometimes, when I do an accent, I think I'm doing a character. It's like I used to be really good at hair acting, where, the character was the hair. Oh, Camilla, she likes the accent. Okay, so I'm going to do the accent, and I'm going to be a bat. And if I can hang upside down, I would really like to do that. But that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. That's going to be on Instagram. Instagram, I don't know what it is. I'll try and advertise it in some way. Oh my gosh, so much work. Yeah, so that's the thing, is I never was able to be an ape. But my dad, turn the camera upside down. That's a great idea. I'm going to do that. Zoe Nicholson is on it. I'm going to turn the camera upside down. I got to figure out how to do that. Instagram challenged. Gina's Instagram challenged. Oh, it's exhausting doing live free comedy during the time of the coronavirus. All right, so one other thing is, one time at Halloween, I wanted to be a werewolf. And I told my dad. And I told you, my dad, very creative. He didn't just go out and get a werewolf. I had seen like a rubber werewolf mask that you could wear. But he was like, no, I got the perfect costume for you. And so what he did is this is the way I remember it. I don't know. Memory is very fluid. So he got some rubber gloves, and we painted them with rubber cement all over. And then he said, you go get the yarn, the brown yarn. I was like, what? So I went and got brown yarn, and we cut it up into little short units. And then we glued it on to the hands, and he drew fingernails, and those were the hands of the werewolf. But we didn't stop there. We also then slathered rubber cement all over my face. And we glued the yarn on my face. And my dad made a little nose, like a wolf nose. And he did some really artistic things. It was basically the precursor to cats. Always ahead of my time, by the way. And I think my dad was too. Always ahead of his time. Don't touch your face. That's a good point. Don't touch. I got to wash my hands now. So he glued it all over. And that was the craziest Halloween that I will never remember. I got so high from that rubber cement. I don't know. I mean, the whole night is just a blur. I remember I went and freed the animals at the zoo at one moment. I got in a wrestling match with a dog. I was howling at the moon. I woke up, in a cage at the pound. My dad had to come bail me out. It was terrible. I'm going to look at the chat room now here. It's time to look at the chat room. My friends are calling, screaming about how much they touch their faces. When I was in college, I used to have a thing. We used to play a game that you could make rules. It was like a drinking game, and you could make rules about things for other people to follow. And if they failed with these rules, they had to drink. My friend Brian Keaton, he used to always say, Joel, the rule is you can't touch your face. And as you can imagine, that was very difficult for me. It was like I had a habit of touching my face. It's terrible, really. Yeah, yesterday, my wife and I, we put on plastic or rubber gloves. I don't want to get too involved in that, but we went out with our rubber gloves, and she said, yeah, this will remind us not to touch our face, because when we touch our face, it'll be like, ugh! What is that weird rubbery thing on my hands? The hand prophylactic. Prophetic. I'm looking at the chat room now because I'm going to take suggestions from the audience for stand-up comedy. This is the improv portion of the show. So far, this show has absolutely no structure, but it does have the improv portion. So if somebody wants to give me a topic, I will attempt to do some stand-up comedy about that very thing. Let's see. Kamala says to mail letters to all attorney generals, ordering them staffed, fixing laws to discriminate on the basis of... Oh, yes. Definitely go to equalmeansequal.org for any kind of information that you want. We actually did go out with our rubber gloves, drive to the post office, put in these letters to all the attorney generals, ordering them to start fixing laws that discriminate on the basis of sex. Because just because this stuff is going on, we still have to make sure that the Equal Rights Amendment actually has an effect now that it's been ratified. And I think a lot of you can understand that in our chat room. Neil, somebody give me a topic. Otherwise, I'm going to come up with a topic on my own. And it's not going to be coronavirus. I'll tell you that. It is not going to be coronavirus. I don't know if Zoom school. Oh, that's the topic. Zoom school. It says here, Gina gave you one. Zoom. I think it's Zoom school. Oh, can you talk about kids? Can you talk about kids on Zoom for school now? So, thank you. Thank you for giving me a topic. Yes, people are doing Zoom school now. When I was a kid, Zoom school was this. Zoom, 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 Zoom. Everybody Zoom, Zoom. Come on, give it a try. You're gonna be able to fly high. I think that was Neil knows this one. Zoom, 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 Zoom. You know what was the cool thing about it is in the beginning of the show, there was a girl who would do this. Have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen that? You didn't know I had that talent, did you? So Zoom was a show on PBS. This is the way the comedy riffing works. Is you just take a topic and you just got to go with it. I haven't done that in years. Yeah, you do that too, Gina. Yeah, it took me a while to figure it out. I had to figure it out because back then you couldn't just go to the internet and go, how do you do the thing with the hands? And they played this. They also would play a song. I mean, kind of a sound. I remember that would go. She'd be like, "Hi, I'm Gina." War. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Play it again. I think it's only good for. It's like a magic trick almost. It's almost a magic trick. Anyway, so that was Zoom. It was a show on PBS. They all wore striped shirts. By the way, I am wearing a shirt today from Tacoma, Washington. I don't think we have any Tacoma, Washington people out there in our audience, but if we did, I'm going to wear this again another day possibly because I have some Tacoma stories to tell you. I went up there with Jimmy Shin, famous comedian. You can see his show Walk of Shame. That's WOK on Amazon Prime. But anyway, I went up there with him. We'll talk about that again because we only have 2 more minutes left in the show. And we're trying to stick to the 30-minute time frame. So I just want to, once again, thank everybody for being in the chat room. It's so good to see all of you. We had Tracy Newman, we had Gina Viola, we had Zoe Nicholson. We had our regulars, Neil Phillip and Kamala Lopez. And of course, Moara. Gina, you can be late anytime you want. That's the beauty of this show. There's no obligation. It's a no obligation and money back guarantee. So no worries. Just jump in. You can jump in for 2 seconds. That's the thing about, the Instagram and the YouTube and all the Twitch. I'm going to try and get myself on Twitch. That's what the kids are doing today. They're doing Twitch. Does anybody know what Twitch is? To us, it was just like, when your eye does that weird thing and you're like, is my eye twitching? Is it twitching? And you're like, no, it's not twitching. Kind of like when you go to the dentist and they put that Novocaine in there and you're like, my mouth is all weird. And you're like, are you lying? Are you lying to me right now? So anyway, Twitch is a thing. Kids play video games and you watch them play video games and they talk. I don't know if I can do stand-up on there, but I'm going to give it a try. You're teaching the boys to do, Gina's teaching the boys to do the arm thing. It's kind of, the other one that I don't know if any of you guys do is this one. And it's going to be kind of loud, I think. Do you know that one? That took me forever to learn. It's one of those tricks. It seems like, you're cracking your knuckles, but you're not. I'll teach you guys that. Maybe I'll make a YouTube instructional video. I don't know what it's called. It's just, Scott does that. I knew Scott would do that. Of course he does. You never do that in a crowded room of kids. because it just causes mayhem. They just go nuts because they're like, how do you do that? 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 They just keep asking it over and over and over again. And you try and explain it. It's not something you can learn to do. Like, you can't really, it takes practice. The best things in life take practice. I'm going to end this on that. Best things in life take practice. I'm going to look at the chat room just as I'm closing out here. Scott does that. Of course he does. Maybe we can get Scott on the show sometime. Do it, and he can do that. Do it with the neck thing. This should be listed as an educational, for home scholars. Exactly. We're learning some stuff. All right, kids and adults and little babies. Thank you very much for joining me on Lunch Therapy. I'm Joel Marshall, and we are over